It's time to switch over to the first panel. The topic is corporate versus startup. Bear with me, we'll talk about a couple of things. And I'll just get them on stage now, and they'll introduce themselves. Please make some noise from Martin Bittner of Cisco, Damian Izdebski from techbold, Friederikos Kariotis from Frequentis. That's the part where you applaud, come on, man. Katharina Klausberger of Shpock, and Herwig Springer by 5 Invest. Thank you. Oh, lovely. I can finally sit down, that's the best part. What's going to happen, we'll have a bit of a chit-chat, and by the way, I'm not texting on stage, usually I'm not, but I'm using this as my watch. At 11:15, I would like to open up for Q&A. That's question and answers, that's the part where you're all shy, but I want you to take this great opportunity and actually join us in the discussion, maybe even early on. Does that make sense? That's the part where you nod again. Yeah, good, good. Hello. So what we'll do now is I'll ask them all to introduce themselves shortly and quickly. Actually, you're lined up exactly. That's mega. Did you just do that, or is it a coincidence?
Perfect.
That's awesome. No, we planned that. Martin, hi there. You from Cisco? Tell us quite shortly what you do and what your background is, please.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for having me here. I graduated here from this house, actually from the other one, when you weren't born then. And I was very fortunate because we didn't have in the late 80s, early 90s, not too many options like you have. So it was very simple. If you want to go abroad, go to Isaac. So I spent some time in the US, in Germany and Japan. If you want to start your career, go to a large corporate. Pick the number 1 or 2. So I went to IT, was with IBM. In the beginning, different roles. So it's a very simple choice. Then everyone in the bubble founded startups. So I was the last one not founding one. So I took all my corporate knowledge, founded a startup, sold it in 2007. After that, went to the Silicon Valley and said, cool, there's more than Europe. Came back, founded a very similar one out of the remains of the first one, and sold it to Cisco in 2013, 2 years ago. And was fortunate enough being in a US very dynamic technology company, Internet of Things, all this what's hip now. And my kids are 19 and 22, and they always ask me about guidance. And I can really understand because founding a startup in 2000 was about 2 million to start for technology and everything, and today it's maybe 50 or 100 to get to revenue. So the options are endless today, and happy to share some advice or questions you might have and answers later on. I'm very fortunate now to do the Entrepreneurs in Residence for Cisco in Europe, which means incubating, searching for startups all over Europe, Middle East, Africa, Russia, and incubating 5 entrepreneurs at a time all over Europe, and bring them, target is to bring them on a price list for Cisco for global distribution and lift them to global. So that's what I do.
Thank you very much. That's where you can applaud, by the way. Damian, hi.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Damian Izdebski, and I am still, I am the founder of a company you probably knew, Ditech. I born in Poland, and I grew up in the 80s in the small city near to Warsaw, and entrepreneurship was nothing what was supported by the system in the communism in the 80s in Poland. So, but my parents, or first of all, my father decided to be an entrepreneur and to start his own business in the 70s in Poland, which was really, really tough. And so this was the business was quite easy. The first one was a shop with flowers, and the second one was a small shop with electronics, with televisions and video recorders and stuff like this in the 80s. So, but I was always surrounded by this entrepreneurial spirit and the business of my parents and customers and money and products and all this stuff. So I think this had a huge impact on what I've done later. And my first job in Austria. So I was 16 when we came from Poland to Vienna, 1992. My first job was I was 18 years old. Was software developer and database designer. So in this I did it for about 2 years, and this was the only period in my life when I was an employee. And after 2 years, I decided to start my own business, and it was quite nothing special. It was 1998, I think, and you know, as IT technician, as a one-man show, providing IT services for small companies in Vienna. In 1999, we founded, together with my wife, we started with Ditech. 2000, the focus of the company changed from IT services to e-commerce and retail. We started with our first retail store selling computer components, computers, notebooks, stuff like this. And so in the next 15 years, the company grew at about 20 till 30% every year. So the peak was 2012 with 22 stores all over the country, with a huge logistics center in Vienna with 8,000 square meters. We were the largest Austrian online shop. We got a lot of awards, you know, Entrepreneur of the Year, Austrian of the Year, Best Electronics Store, whatever. The problem was that there was a huge dependence on the banking system, actually on the banks, on the credit insurance, and we grew very, very, very fast. And 2013, the catastrophe began. It was necessary to increase the working capital for about another 3-4 million euros. And it was the first time in our career that the banks didn't want to grow with us in this such spectacular speed as in the last year. So it was quite very easy for the last 14 years to get the money for growth. And a retail company needs a lot of working capital. The accumulated revenues over the 15 years was 1 billion euros. So annual revenue of about 150 million. So you need a lot of money to buy the products, to have a high level on stock. And yeah, and this was the beginning of the collapse, actually. And a couple of months later, so 8-9 months later, we lost the fight, and the whole structure of the finance structure of the company collapsed. And so in March 2014, I was forced to file for bankruptcy, and yeah, the company was unveiled and is gone. So this was the success and fail story of me, actually. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll get that sorted. Now, Friederikos, I'd asked you to also say a couple of words. Maybe we'll keep the intros a little shorter, but...
I tried. Okay, good morning. First, thank you for the invitation. I'm really glad to join the Entrepreneurship Avenue today. And I love the spirit that I feel here. It's great. A few words to my person. My name is Friederikos. After my university time in Germany, I tried to start up a own business in Germany, and I failed. It was in the blended learning area, and it was not so good product. It was not scalable. So I decided to join the corporate career. After a few years of experience in the HR department in Germany, I joined the Frequentis group in 2008. And now I'm responsible for the global HR of the Frequentis group.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Katharina, co-founder and CEO of Shpock. Shpock is a second-hand marketplace app where you can easily sell your own stuff or find things in your area. If you open the app, you see the things that are closest to you, and the further you scroll down, the further away the items are. From a company perspective, we're the fastest growing next-gen marketplace app, and are always in the top 10 lifestyle apps in the German-speaking regions. We are right now a team of around 40 people, international, diverse, and very talented, and are sitting next in the center of Vienna, next to Schwedenplatz. Coming back to me and my past, before starting the company, I was here at the university working at the E&I Institute, running different innovation projects, and always had some ideas that I wanted to do something on my own, that I wanted to start something, that I wanted to change something. I was missing the right co-founder at that time, and I found it with Armin, who was a consultant at a big consultancy back then. So we had the idea, we can do something, we can change something, we can make something. And that's what we managed to do in the first place. So we managed to convince others to believe in us as a team, to give us some money so that we can more or less multiply our own money we put in and start the company. The first project we started wasn't in the end successful, and we at once realized that we had to change this and become more mobile, and that was the time when we came up with the idea of Shpock, which we launched 2.5 years ago, and is currently over 8 million users that are using it very regularly.
Awesome. Thank you. Please.
All right,
hi.
thank you. My name is Herwig. I currently work for a company called i5 Invest. Before I joined them, which is about just 4 months ago, I actually studied here at the Vienna University, the old building though, not the nice fancy ones. I actually did entrepreneurship and innovation as well, which was in 2002, I think, 2003. It was in their second year, so already more or less a startup in itself, which was quite exciting. And SIMC, the master, didn't exist back then, so the only option I had was to do SEMS. PwC was a corporate partner of SEMS, and I joined PricewaterhouseCoopers when I graduated from university, and I've been there for 10 years. I worked in Frankfurt for some time in the corporate finance team, working for big banks and on transactions. Then I moved back to Austria, as my now wife convinced me to work less and come back home to Vienna and to live together again. And after 10 years of working a lot, I was actually asked by the founder of i5 Invest to actually join the team and be the CEO of the Austrian company. As you probably heard about them, it's a startup factory. We help companies to build up, we invest in companies, we coach companies. But what we're actually now doing is we're increasing our corporate development services, meaning we support startups or later stage companies during the exit process, and that's actually my background. It's the reason why I joined i5 Invest. I've been there for 4 months now. I said it, and I've seen the corporate world for a long time, and I'm really enjoying the startup world at the moment.
Thank you very much. Now, the topic is called corporate versus startup, and what are we trying to find out? We have the perfect panel to find out what's the #1 ideal way to go after university, the only way. So is there like the perfect way, what you should do right after university to live a successful and prosper life? That was a dumb question, wasn't it? I love asking dumb questions. I'm curious, I mean, if you are a founder, you want to go found a company sooner or later, what should we do? Should we go right off and found or not? You're already getting your microphone ready. It seems you're already quite opinionated on that. Is there like a perfect way for an entrepreneur to prepare to be highly successful later on? Go out and found straight away, or?
So we are in a very unique position that we are scouting at Panelist Festival next Thursday. We'll be announcing our next cohort of 5 companies we take, and we just finishing the first 5 incubating and accelerating. And we did a lot of failure in scouting for the first time. I'm sure we do the other failures for the next time. We tried out of these 750 applications of startups we had to find the right pattern for us. And we don't take very, very fresh companies anymore. means because we gotta produce success in 6 months only. So that's a kind of pressure cooking thing. So a success criteria is if you have some experience in the field you're founding. So Katharina, that might be different from your success, but you gotta solve a problem that's not solved yet. And normally that's coming from the corporate world, that you take a part of the inefficiency and solve it better. In Cisco is a B2B company. Secondly, it's not about the money. There should be a business plan, of course, but it's about the passion. It's about you want to really do it better because you are fed up with how inefficient or how boring or how ancient it is. And last but not least, we go after teams. Serial founders, only 2 people, very strong academia, and no real augmented team. That's difficult. So sum it up, I would say get some experience, be passionate on what you really want to solve, because it will be a hard way, and get a couple of friends who are diverse, not like you.
It's an interesting point. I always find this we always have this question, and I'm never quite sure what the answer is, because on the one hand you can say that people that leave university and go into big companies, go into corporations, go into consulting, that they learn a lot, but one could also say they learn certain thought patterns. Does that maybe also stop the famous thinking outside of the box if you learn these patterns? Who feels enlightened? You're going to...
No, just thinking about where to start and what is the difference being part of a big corporation than being part of a startup. I mean, for us, every single team member is responsible. Every single one can have an impact, and every single one needs to be or become or want to become an expert in the field the person is doing. So what we are doing in the beginning, we haven't had any clue of what we are doing in the end. We made a lot of learnings and we tried to improve by them. We had, for example, I mean, we are doing a mobile app. We're doing a very great mobile app. We had no clue how to develop mobile. So we find out how to learn it, and we learned it within weeks, how to do an iOS, how to do an Android app, and made a very great one. And this is in all of the single areas that we are in. We need to get this knowledge to be able to compete against big corporations like eBay, for example. That's important. And I think that's the beauty. So you can do whatever you want to do, and you can have the impact you want to have. And also when we're looking for new team members, at the most time we're focusing on what is the attitude of this person. Does this person want to change something, really want to have an impact? Is the heart on the right place? Because if you have someone like this in your team, this person can learn whatever he wants to learn. On the other hand, if you have people in there with a perfect skill set, but not the right motivation, not the right attitude, maybe thinking of, yes, I'm doing just a job, and if something goes wrong, the others will fix it. Then you can never change this attitude. So yeah, I think that you are able to learn a lot of things in a faster amount of time than compared to a corporate. You make other experiences, and in a big company you have the experience maybe on how to structure things, how to behave in a bigger group, also how to report to different levels and how to deal with all those things. But you will never learn so many different things in the same amount of time.
I can see you nodding happily the whole time, like, oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, first you said, okay, all about motivation, and you were nodding really massively. What's your input on that? And
I really think it depends. You know? I think if you have a great idea, a clear vision, and you know why you want to do a new business and start a new business, you should try it. I think there are a couple of ways where you can collect some experience during the studies with traineeships or some small jobs. Yeah? But if you really believe in yourself and in the idea you have, and you see your vision and the value for the market, I think you should try it.
That's a really interesting input. Now, I also have to ask, just a quick question. I mean, what you were saying earlier was just you go out and you just try it and you learn it and you go for it, kind of like the lean approach, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the first product, for example, we made a long business plan. I think it was 100 pages. We made a long plan on how the website should look, how every detailed function should work, how things should be together. We developed, I think, for 8 months. And then we were out on the market and we realized, okay, out of the 15, 20 functions we developed, 5 are used, 5 others are missing. How do we change this now? And with Shpock, we made it totally different. So we really followed this lean approach, started with a very, very small app where you can do the core functionalities, but those were great to use. So you could list within 30 seconds. You could scroll through a lovely picture-based view, and you can haggle inside the app and arrange all the deals. Nothing more, no search, no categories, nothing. Just to see if it's working. And those are experiences that we made during the first approach in the end. And I think looking backwards, and we're still making so many experiences every week, I think for us, in the end, it was necessary to make the mistakes on our own to really learn. Because if someone else would have told us, yes, we would have taken some advice, but we wouldn't have believed everything. So I think it's important to somehow make the experience yourself.
I mean, that's a beautiful point, but I'd like to talk about that a little later on. But the whole fail thing, and then room for failure, maybe room for experience. But what you just said, Friederikos, I found quite interesting. I'm going to say it a little more bluntly, but you kind of also said, if you have the idea, if you know what you want to do, go out and do it. If you don't know what you're doing, go the corporate way. I'm totally overdoing that. I'm exaggerating, I know, but is that also a way, okay, could you also say if you're not driven enough, if you're not mad enough, if you don't think 24/7 about it, then don't do it? Is that the politer way?
Short, yes.
Okay, that was a nice answer. Good, next point.
But
please.
I think you mentioned this 24/7. I think it's about personality. It's about personal approach to entrepreneurship. I think we have here about, 400 people, yeah? And if everyone start a new company next week, we have a problem in Austria, okay? So it's good that not 100% of the people are entrepreneurs or have this entrepreneurial approach to business. I think first of all this is a matter of the personal approach of, if you need a security, if you need a security net for what are you doing, you are maybe not the one who found a startup. Okay, startup is about risk. It's about a lot of work, and it's not a part-time job. It's even not a 40 hours a week job. Okay, I started a company, and the next, my second company actually, or 2 companies at the same time now, 3 months ago or 4 months ago, and I'm working for about 70, 80 hours a week. Okay, and I have no idea if the company survived the next, year or 2. Okay, so it's about risk. It's about a lot of decisions and a lot of decisions without a plan. So you have to decide in a very quick time, yes or no. And there is a very famous small person, the Jedi Master Yoda, said, "Don't try, do or do not. There is no try." And this is what startup is about. There is no plan. There is no one who can tell you if what you are doing is the right or the wrong way. So you have to make a decision and to live with the consequences.
Thank you. I mean, you said there's no one there to help you, to tell you if it's right or wrong. You're kind of going like that. But I have to ask, Herwig, I mean, that's basically what you guys do, right? To a certain degree. You look at entrepreneurs and you say, look, that's right or wrong.
Not necessarily right or wrong, or maybe invest or not invest. But just to add on that point, and it's out of my experience, and that would be my recommendation for people like you who are thinking about what to do after university. The reason why I joined PwC was basically I had no idea to start up my own company, no clue, and I got the job without a job interview. As simple as that. Sometimes things are as simple as that. So, in other words, if I had my own idea,
you got into
I
without
got
a job interview.
Without a job interview, actually.
You have to tell me how you did that one.
Those were the good old times where you get jobs.
If you want to learn, ask the man. If you want to go, okay.
But so if you have an idea, don't wait for anybody. Just do it and try to do it. At uni, it's the best time where you can actually assemble a team and work together and work on your idea. So don't wait for anybody. Don't wait. Just do it. You can always join a large corporate or consulting company if you fail. That's no problem. If you don't have an idea, starting to work for a consulting company is always a good option because the skills you learn there, the meta skills, rigorous analytical skills and stuff like that, those are skills that are useful in the startup environment as well, especially around finance and admin, HR and so on. So it's always good to do that. Just my thoughts on that.
Thank you. I mean, now we've been talking about individual skills, but obviously, I mean, we always hear investing and looking at startups is always about the teams. Is maybe the reality that you need mixed teams with mixed abilities, maybe part corporate background, maybe part straightaway startup? Is that maybe a way to look at it?
I mean, as we are growing, we have this. We have people who have been before at, for example, Apple or some other bigger companies, and the experience help. But still, I think that's also something some of our team members are looking for. They have been in big companies, and they are fed up with all the structures, with all the rules you have to comply with, and that's why they like to join us.
I mean, look, now we're doing a bit of big company bashing, but I think there's also...
Sorry.
No. I mean, you can say whatever you feel like, but I mean, we don't want to go saying like they suck. I mean, obviously big companies do awesome things. Anyone want to go into the defense of big companies doing awesome things?
I have to, right?
My pleasure. I was like, go on then.
So actually, it's very hip to found a company, and where's Rudolf? Rudolf there. We have been to New York in late February, right? And visiting Digital Dumbo and all the startup ecosystems. And part of our Klassenfahrt have been people more related to government, and they were scared. Because all the young people there told what they do and what they earn and what the entrepreneurs earn. And New York is not a bad place to be for starting a business. It's high-priced living, but a lot of energy, environment, funding available. And those people have been in their late 20s, still sleeping in the office, still sharing rooms, etc. So it's a fancy thing, and normally on the panel you see the ones who get visible and successful. So you might believe that's the way to go. That's the one thing. So be careful in just, wow, we go there and it's all easy and success. Other thing, Cisco is an internet networking company, basically, and turning into the IoE space and based in California. It's 30 years old and no one wants to work there, basically. Because they're away 1.5 hours drive from San Francisco down south, South Bay, where all the Intels and the traditional companies are. And that's one of the reasons why we are opening up with entrepreneurs to in residence to exactly Santa Clara, Stanford, all these Palo Alto North environments, because we gotta attract talent again. Because the corporates get it now. And for example, we are starting an initiative, Intel, Deutsche Telekom, Cisco together to incubate companies, startup companies, because we know if we don't open avenues, entrepreneurial avenues to Cisco, we run out of talent. That's really a problem of large companies. And we are now attaching the high talent program of Cisco, where we tended to give them corporate careers to leadership, to our startup program. Because the young people want to have maybe both. The corporate career with shiny and huge levers you have, in terms of huge decisions you can make, and budgets you have, you can really move things quickly, plus the entrepreneurial incubating things quickly. So it's not the either or, I would say. It's if corporates don't change, they won't get the talent which is the fuel of the future.
And it's a beautiful point. What about entrepreneurship? I mean, I believe that's also something you at Frequentis do a lot of work there, right? On entrepreneurship, because I mean we're talking like, okay, if you go corporate, well, you do nothing basically. You're half brain dead and nothing's going to happen. I think you can also have a lot of responsibilities in there. I think a lot of dynamics. But maybe tell us a little about the whole concept behind that.
Okay, Frequentis is a big startup for me, and we try to create an environment where people with an entrepreneurial mindset can exist in our company. We're searching the same people, fishing the same sea. Yeah? So we have a startup center. Yeah, we try to support startups, and also we have some stories from employees from the Frequentis that founded her own company together with us. It's really important for us because we are searching the talent, the best talents, and it's a hard market. Yeah. I
mean, for me, the thing is, I mean, we want to talk about the best way out of university and how to become successful. I mean, we've seen there's a couple options there. I mean, how about, just out of interest, how about going to the other side? How about going to companies working with startups? How about VCs? How about incubators? Is that also a way if you're kind of insecure or unsure which way to go? Is that kind of learning the fast way? How about people that join I5, for example? What kind of characters do you look for?
We're looking for. I don't know if I can. Really, it's hard to answer if starting for a VC would be a good step into the startup system. Could be potentially, although they're not looking for too many people. It's usually quite a narrow organization. It's not that 100 people are looking for a VC. They're quite small. The people we're looking for, and that's quite interesting. I compare the people that were looked for at PricewaterhouseCoopers and the people we're currently looking for. It's not that different. We're looking for people with a business background, analytical background, and preferably IT background with who speak a language in the CE region. So we want everything, and then especially you should be 24 years old and with 5 years of working experience already. At least. It's not like that, but we're looking for highly talented people, and interestingly, and there I believe really corporates have a disadvantage. It's really hard for them to compete against startups. The applicants we get for our jobs that we are actually posting are better than the people who applied for PricewaterhouseCoopers. We're looking for a position. We're looking for 4 people now, and for one position we get probably 50 to 70 applicants. And from the CV and from the background, really great people. So it will be quite difficult for large corporates to find the right people unless they will change quite quickly, especially if you want to do something and change something and be part of something where you can make an impact. The startup world is always more alluring than a corporate world, despite lower salaries.
But can I sum up? So if you're happy to earn not that much, but want to change the world and are highly motivated, know what you love and want to love it and want to do all you can for it, then you do a startup. If not, other way.
I mean, regarding the earning, I think in the beginning you don't earn anything. You put in money if you start something, but as you grow and if you're successful, you're able to earn as well. For example, if you're working with us, you earn a normal salary or a good salary, I would say. So it's not like that all startups don't have any money. It's just in the beginning you need to be open to put in your full energy and also be willing. And if you want to start something, you need to find a way how to amaze people to join you and to do things with just a little money, just enough that you can pay your rent, that you can get some food. You don't have time to shop, so you don't need money for that. But that's part of your challenge. If you really want to start something, that's the first people you need to convince and to impress to join you, as you have to do later on with investors or others.
And there's one topic I still want to touch, but just out of interest, who has a question? Raise your hand that I get an idea. Oh, we talked about confidence. Okay, there's one question. Okay, then we'll take 2 minutes for Q&A in about an hour's time. Thank you for cooperating. Good. That was a lovely opportunity. I'll ask you again in 2 minutes, and I expect questions. I expect you to have an opinion. Okay, otherwise just select random people. I will. Don't worry. And I'll horribly embarrass you. So no pressure, but I'll do that. I love doing that because I also like teaching, and I'm a real horrible person. Yes. Good. I've already got a few people in mind. Yes. No, you had a question already. That's good. So now I've nearly lost what I wanted to say.
One thing maybe to add what Katharina said. Earning money is important if you have a big house, 2 cars, 5 kids in international school. Then it's maybe a little bit difficult to found a startup where you get exactly in that situation. So advice about timing. I was a little bit late in founding a startup, I was 35 then. A lot of experience, but we had luck. We were funded within 6 weeks. It was a different time then, because we had to support ourselves. So if you have maybe a burn rate which is something like 900 a month. You don't need a car. You live cheaply. That's a huge opportunity. Think the difference you have in pay for a corporate pay 10 years later. So you save something like 40K a year, which you can invest in your startup in terms of difference in lifestyle. Make sense?
That makes a lot of sense, and it's a beautiful point. It's probably also perceived risk that you take. Probably the younger you are, the lower your burn rate is, and the easier it is to found. But I also want to talk about one last topic, because the idea is not to find the perfect way for you, but maybe it's just to talk about a couple of questions that may come up. We know that startups are high risk. Depending on whatever you read, up to 90% of startups fail. Now, how does that look? And let's be honest about that. How does that look in CVs nowadays if you're not at a big startup that gets really successful, but if you're in a small startup that no one knows and you spent a year there working your ass off and it failed, and then you say, okay, look, now I want to go somewhere. How does that look? Is it okay? Is it a waste of time? Is it you lose your momentum? Who feels? Maybe you. Yeah, please do. I mean,
from the corporate side, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me think. Last year, I hired 4 people who failed in their own business in the area of our CEO as an executive assistant, and this could be a good skill for the career in the corporate world. I'm sure.
And that's shifting, isn't it? I mean, I have a feeling to go out and do new things. It has to be okay. It has to be okay to attempt it if you fail for the right reasons. I mean, how about you guys? I mean, if you see those CVs where it says nope, didn't work out.
So I can give you a very simple example. We sold our company with about 65 people 2 years ago, and it started growing because we had distribution then, a global distribution, and so our data centers grew. So we had a dedicated person taking over the team, from a team leader to a management position. And by coincidence, we hired someone who failed with a 3-people startup. Actually, he was pushed out by the other 2 founders because it didn't work anymore. And in the decision in announcing the new manager, it was clear for everyone that this startup skill was exactly the one who joined lately, who could manage this dynamic, growing environment. So it's definitely a skill. Companies, especially maybe California companies, are different in terms of shoot first, target later. It's a quick decision, but that's definitely a skill corporates are looking for in special areas.
Now, I also have to ask you, Damian, because I mean, obviously, you mentioned Ditech, great company. You put all your heart and soul into it, and suddenly out of nowhere, someone says, no, stop. We also talked about motivation. Maybe, what is it that a founder has to feel inside to say, this is the actual motivation I need to still continue, although these things that totally suck happen? How do you get up? How do you go for it again? What drive is it you need to have?
The question is, what is the option? Is the IMS the option for me, or it's, I think a manager or the boss who can manage me is not born yet, okay? And so, once entrepreneur, always entrepreneur. I think if you had the great opportunity for a period of 15 years to make your own decisions, to fulfill your own vision and dreams with a team of people, it's the only way to work. There is no other option for me. So, but we talked about failure and experience, and I think there is I think there is no one in Austria who isn't really an expert about failure now. So I have there is a huge difference in mentality and approach between the Americans, California first of all, and Europe, Western Europe, continental Europe. I think it was the difference I felt. In Austria, these 15 years of success, of giving job to 350 people over 15 years, was very quickly forgotten, and the people just saw the bankruptcy and the last couple of weeks and the failure and the disaster, and I was treated like a social outcast. Okay, and so people who you believe to know for years don't even pick up the phone if they see your name on the display. Okay, or people across the street if you see you because they don't want to be involved in a conversation with someone who is for weeks in the press with negative headlines. So, and then I went to California for a couple of months, and the difference was really amazing. So the Americans saw the whole package. The Americans saw me as a person with 15 years of experience in founding a company, bringing it to a 15% market share on a small, saturated market in Europe, in a small country actually. And of course, the part of failure, of bankruptcy, and all this experience you learn in this part of time was seen as a package. Yeah? And I think this is the totally different approach between Americans and Europeans. And I started, as I told before, I started a new company, and it was quite very, very difficult to find a bank, not for a loan, to find a bank to open an account for the new company for me. Yeah. So, so this is the problem. I think if someone is, if some, I don't know, a new, very young entrepreneur with his first idea has a better standing for a bank than me with my 20 years of experience, but with this huge red line in my CV. And so, but I think this has to change to motivate people to start an own company, because as you said, 90% failed within 2 years.
And I think it is changing, but please, I mean, by the way, you can always contradict me, but I have a feeling also sitting here, also hearing what you all do, if I compare it to my own experience of around 5 years of startups, suddenly having big corporates being interested in startups, working with startups, that means for me that there's people within big corporations that are allowed and are willing to take risks, because someone said, look, we need to trust these small companies that fail a lot, we think they're great, so let's do something with them. I bet a lot within the corporates say, look, if that goes wrong, you're out of the door, my friend. So what I'm trying to say is, I think a lot is happening. I think a lot has to happen, but I think the whole idea is we need to understand as potential founders that there's risk and there's perceived risk. And I think the more we all work together, the more we say there's always good ways, there's always something to be learned, then there's a lot to be done in the future. I think we're really moving in the right direction. I think today risk, failure, and success have to be seen in one sentence because it's very close between one another, and it's about the level of trust people give you at whatever level, and it's about the motivation. I think if you have that massive level of motivation, none of this will ever deter you, right? It's all about, if you fall down 50 times, you need to get up 51 times, and you will do that if you're motivated enough. Speaking of which, now I've cut the questionnaires quite short, but I massively believe that you're an opinionated bunch of people that have a lot of questions to this panel. So please. Oh, marvelous. Thank you so much. We have a question. We need a microphone. Who can dedicate me their microphone? Thank you. Look, everyone's going to give you a microphone that you have a voice. Thank you so much. So what's your question? Anyone else have a question, by the way? Thank you so much. It always needs a bit. Please.
Well, it does work. Okay. So my question. With my friends, we want to found a startup. And I try to push them to actually create our ideas, to realize them. But as you mentioned, that you started your startup a bit late. And I also have the feeling that we have the idea. We have a clear idea, actually. And it's like shifting away from weeks to months. It takes even more and more time to actually start it. And I have the feeling that our idea is just shifting away. Is there an optimal time of actually realizing the idea, or you really just should start as fast as you can, or you should just wait for the actual real perfect opportunity? Because I have the feeling there is no perfect opportunity.
So when's the perfect part, right?
Yeah, and we should start it, but I feel that our group members are intimidated by the big corporations and stuff, and I try to push them, but I can't. Is there any idea or tip from the professionals?
Maybe just
Thank you.
quickly. As I'm repeating myself, if you have an idea, you should start work on it right now. And there are two things you need to bear in mind. Is the idea good, and do you have the right team in order to do that? The way you describe it, maybe you do not have the right team for that. I don't know your team. But you need to have dedicated people in order to work on that idea, and your idea will change constantly. So better focus on the right team than on the right product. If you don't have the right team in place, the product could be as good as hell, and you probably won't succeed because you need to change it all the time. Constantly change it.
And it's never a part-time job. So as we heard previously, it takes 80 hours or more a week to really do this. And it's like starting a company is like a roller coaster. So it's always ups and downs and ups and downs, and most of the time both in the same week. And it's not changing, never.
Maybe I give you a picture. If you have a very cold swimming pool or a lake in the mountain, you maybe stand on the side and think, Is that the case a little bit? So, yeah, but the advice I can give you, how I do it, entering the cold water, I just jump and worry later, and it's cold, but I'm in there and start swimming. So I guess that's an attitude, and it needs one person to lead. There's no team decision in startups. Correct me if wrong. If you first you tend to, hey, we all agree on, and let's make scorecards. What's the best decision? Bullshit, full bullshit. And I don't advise you like a 4-people startup. Everyone takes 25%. Red flag.
Thank you very much. No, keep that. By the way, who of you knows Pioneers Festival? Raise your hand. Okay, down again. I haven't got any tickets. But the thing is, the company behind Pioneers is called JFDI. If you're easily offended, now put your fingers in your ears. Okay, JFDI stands for just fucking do it. So if you want to found it, just fucking do it. So what we'll do, by the way, we're running out of time, so we'll have 2 more questions. Wait. We'll count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you raise your hand as quickly as you can, and you select the first and the second person. Does that make sense? We'll try it out. Okay, I'll count to 3, then you raise your hands as quickly as you can, and we'll select 2 people. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's over there. And who else? Who's quick? Okay, you first. We'll do it again. You know, 1, 2, 3. You. Marvelous. Fortune favors the brave. And then we've got food for you all.
Thanks. Well, here, just from looking around, I'm a little bit ahead, I think, in life than a lot of the people who are sitting here. So I have one opinion and one question. I had a fast developing career in a big pharmaceutical company, and then I had also a very privileged role and position with the most successful Austrian company, which is Red Bull. And I left this 2 years ago to first take a year off and then start my own company. I'm 40 years old right now. In terms of the point that has been discussed, when is the right time, when it's not, you know, for me, I had a great time with the career. If I look back, it would have been a lot easier to do what I'm doing now earlier, because I got used to having plenty of money, to not worry about my expenses. You know, I could easily spend a month 6,000 to 10,000 euros, and it was not a problem. Right now I'm struggling to be able to make it with 800 euros a month. And going back to that now is really tough, but I don't regret it. So if you have an idea, if you have a passion, my advice is really go for it. If you don't, go to a place where you're going to be passionate working there, but don't forget that you want to do something on your own. Now, my question is to Katharina. I'm in a little bit of a similar direction as you've gone, not the same kind of business, but right now a lot of people tell me that I speak too freely about my ideas. When you were starting and you were trying to convince people to give you money, etc., how did you balance talking about it versus not giving away too much of your business idea, particularly if it's something that has not been done yet where you are?
I mean, in the beginning, I think in general we're still a little bit paranoid, but in the beginning we really have been, and we had kind of NDAs when we were talking with people. Looking back to that right now, I think we were a little bit stupid. It helps to get input. If you need input, talk to people. They will give it to you. I think you can't know everything. In the end, it's really about execution. So you need to decide when is the right time and then execute fast. Because as I don't know if you've said this previously, but it's not all about the idea. It's more about the team and how they can execute. The best idea with the wrong team will fail, and a great team will make every idea, or more or less, to a success, or will try to. So if you think you can start with it, talk to people.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're totally out of time, so the last question, mega short. Mega short. Where was that second question? There. Mega short. No statements, very short question, and whoever of you answers first has won.
Okay, so I'm still in education, and I'm also trying to get a hand into the Asian market, so I'm learning Japanese and trying to get into this whole mess of things. And my question is, how do I start with it when I'm just a student? Because as every other student probably here, we don't have really that amount of money that we can have to start a company that is not just software. If you have some things where you need to spend money, how do you start it? Because I know we all count on funding, but you don't have that funding in the beginning. So how do you get this inch ahead of things?
Who would like to answer?
I would start, but I think then you're the right
we'll have to do it very short,
this.
so one answer.
Okay.
Sorry.
There are good subsidies in Austria that help you funding, and I think, Damian, you should talk with him later on, because he started the company with hardware and knows how to fund this in the first place. Then, as I'd like the chance and I have the micro, we're still growing, so the users are growing like hell, and also our team is growing, I hope like hell. So if you want to work with us, just look at our job room, or if there is not the right job for you, just apply. There are often open up opportunities that are not out there.
That's the beauty about startups. They always pitch whenever they have an opportunity to pitch. So. Speaking of which, raise your hand if you know Austrian startups. Okay, all of you others, look around who's not raised their hand, tell them why it's awesome, make them to like Austrian startups. Austrian startups are awesome. Other than that, thank you so much to the great panel. They'll still be around if you have questions. Make sure to go grab them. Other than that, it's time to grab some food. Awesome food lined up outside, including Almdudler and All I Need, macaroni and God knows what else. That's the part where you applaud again. Thank you so much. Take care.